I think I'm live everywhere and the markets are open. Good stuff. Good morning, America. Hope you're well. Non-farm payroll. I don't actually know what the news itself was, but it was well received and the bulls continued to build on the rally. The rule of 4, which states that you enter on a bracket order, the fourth 5-minute bar would have put you long the DAX at NASDAQ, at 19,981. It went as high as 2048. Risk would have been 40 points. The Dow would have taken you long at 41,127 with a stop loss at 079. Very small risk reality. And at its best, it produced 130 points in profit. The FTSE would have triggered a long at 95 and is currently at its best now. And the DAX would have triggered a long at 43, 44 with a stop loss at 975. So a comparatively bigger stop loss in the DAX than the Dow, and is currently underwater by about 15 points. So a definite win in the FTSE, definite win in the Dow, definite win in the NASDAQ, and a loss in the DAX. This morning, the DAX index, if I can get rid of all of these lines here. There we go, much better. This morning, the DAX index triggered a long signal around 8:12. As I explained in the video at the time, I started buying a little bit around here, fully anticipating that we would see the highs of the overnight session. Took out the overnight session a few times, pulled back. I stopped streaming about an hour in because I felt that this market was going to go quiet. But I decided to enter a long position just in anticipation that it was going to see a surge ahead of the non-farm payroll. And it sort of had kind of inspired a little bit by what the other traders were talking about yesterday, but it had a somewhat of a measured move. And I put a target, and I stated that the target was 22,900. But then when we got to 22,900, I decided, I'm just gonna run it because it felt as if momentum was on my side, and that's why I still got a little bit of a position going on. You have to actually now go out to the daily chart to see what's going on in the Dow Jones index. The the bulls must be over the moon, or the Trump insiders must be over the moon when he posted it's time to buy. I suppose he was right when he said he was going to make America rich again. It's just who exactly is he making rich? Because for someone who's been in the market for 27 years and counting now, that's just smacked of insider trading. And don't forget that Donald Trump made a name for himself in the 80s for insider trading. Good old pump and dump kind of schemes. But feel free to peruse the historical records if you want to see more evidence of that. But hey, you chose him as president, so you shit your own bed. Lie comfortably in it. If you don't like what I have to say, get the fuck out. I have absolutely no time for anybody that thinks that that man is good for us. Excuse me. Back, sorry about that. Apparently there was a scene from the Vatican where Donald Trump and Macron, the French president, were meant to greet each other. And it's being pumped up as if Macron snubbed Donald Trump. When I see that video, I don't see that at all. It just seemed like circumstantial. There was like a Bermuda Triangle, and it's almost as if Macron got distracted in that moment where he was about to shake Donald Trump's hand. My God, it's you might think, well, why am I coming to his defense? No, I'm not coming to anybody's defense. I'm just stating it as I see it. There was a time when journalism was an honorable profession. Now it just feels like a clickbait profession. It's only yesterday where I had a conversation with someone in my family, and he said, "Oh, did you see Russia threatened so-and-so with nuclear war?" And I said, "All right, so what was the news outlet that reported this?" Daily Star. I mean, the name itself should suggest that, maybe it's not exactly credible. I had a girlfriend a long time ago, worked for CNN. She said, always consider the source of your information. Wise. So let's see what we can make of today. I think a friend of mine, Richard, just said, what's next? Should we discuss religion? I thought this was a trading channel. I agree, this is a trading channel, but I do think it's pertinent to the argument to consider who is it that is sitting at the helm of the ship, and is this individual reliable or unreliable? Because I have to make trading decisions on the basis of policies as well as technicals. So, for example, I decided to engage in a swing position in the NASDAQ. And I assure you, that position had nothing to do with the technicals and everything to do with, I feel this stinks of manipulation. Anyway, enough of that. Let's just focus on the business at hand. So what we got here is yesterday we have a high of 20,060, and that's where we are right now. That's the high that we are attacking in the NASDAQ. So this is a 4-hour chart. And I imagine that there are sellers coming in here. Just double checking, there's no more news out. There is no more news out today. There are factory orders out at the full hour, but it's not likely to move the market, which is why I haven't mentioned it. Do you, ladies and gentlemen, hear the continuous roam from my my laptop, my machine? I bought one of these Dell machines, you know, all bells and whistles and whatnot, and yet it still makes a lot of noise when I am surfing around the charts. I don't understand it. Okay, so we are settling in here with the first bar of the trading day being so far containing all the price action. Just for your reference, we are, like we did in the DAX this morning, we are experiencing a humongous gap up. This chart here will show you just how big the gap up is. Having said that, when you then look at contextually over where we were yesterday, we were at 41,100, and if you look at it like that, yesterday there was a sell-off and a recovery during the night. Imagine some tariff talks. It's sort of, we aren't up that much, if you want to look at it like that. And we could do the same exercise for the NASDAQ. And you'll see that the NASDAQ will actually manage to only just get to where we were yesterday in the NASDAQ. In my lunch break, I was watching an interview. No, it wasn't an interview. It was more like a podcasty thing with a professor of economics from some university somewhere. And he said the stock market is absolutely raving mad that it's all the way back up here, as if Donald Trump is the savior of the stock market. Of course it isn't. That's his words, not mine. And I thought to myself, if you're a professor and you still argue with the market, not so certain that I believe in your credentials anymore. Sure, the recovery has been swift, but I think at the time I compared this to what I experienced in 1998, and I said, and I'm certainly not glorifying myself here, but what I have learned in a lifelong career as a trader is I don't argue with the market. I remember we had this funny comment on the trading desk, and we said, "Oh, there we go, stupid America! They're off to the races again." The reality is, well, it was a naive thing to say. Just because they know how to get their fingers out in America and actually do something which is good for the stock market, unlike Europe, which is basically sideways for 20 years. And it's true though, isn't it? It's only in the last few years that the DAX has really accelerated. When I started trading the DAX back in 1998, it was trading around 8,000. And that's pretty much where it was 10 years later. And let's not get started on the FTSE. Yeah. Was it Warren Buffett that said, "It's only the fool that bets against America"? So I'm considering being a buyer down here below prior bar lows, although I imagine that 105 could be on the cards as perhaps a more enticing place. And I'm certainly also interested in being a buyer in the NASDAQ. So there's the aggressive school run and the lines pumping up, and ironically I actually want to be a buyer down here. But one does have to be a little careful on a non-farm payroll news day. Can't completely rule out that there are sellers around thinking this gap is going to get filled. Otherwise, we can wait for school run, which will materialize in 10 minutes time. We'll see if an opportunity arises. Oh, interesting. Stand by in the NASDAQ, please. I think that's where I would more likely want to be. Buying the NASDAQ here at 19,946. My stake size should be larger than this, but for now we'll leave it. Look at the Dow, really coming down, much harder than the NASDAQ. So I went long the NASDAQ below this area here. Well, that's where I wanted to be long. Didn't actually succeed in getting the fill there. So NASDAQ pumping back up again. I'm glad. But my stake size is not big enough. It should be double this, if not more. But there you go. So I was asked, how did I know to be long here? What have I told you about the first bar in the NASDAQ? And in this case here, it's the second bar, goes all the way down and back up again. I have to be bullish the market in case you're in doubt. What's the trend? Definitely up. What's the trend of the morning after the non-farm payroll? Definitely up. The market has been pushed higher relentlessly since yesterday evening. I was looking for a buying opportunity. That buy opportunity came below prior bar low. That's why I executed it. Okay, so we have 60 points in profit in the NASDAQ. I didn't do the, why did I do the opposite of the ASRS? Well, because I'm bullish and because I wanted to be a buyer below prior bar low. When you ask me questions, can you please ask properly worded questions? You cannot assume that I am in your head. So when you say, could you please explain why you switched to SIS and stopped the rule of 4? I haven't traded the SIS yet. So you gotta help me so that I can help you. I'm not in your head. And so if you ask vague questions or questions that haven't been completely spelled out to me, I'm thinking, well, what are they thinking? How am I supposed to answer this? So the rule of 4 is a trade that you execute around news. We're no longer in a news environment. The news was an hour and a half ago. Now it's a different kind of environment. I wanted to be a buyer, and every position that I've geared towards now has been on the long side. So I was looking for a place to buy. That opportunity came below prior bar low. Stop loss should be to break even, just in case you haven't picked that up. And then someone is saying, what is the rule of 4? Can you just explain in short? Yeah, I could. Or you could read the resource channel, which has posted extensively about the rule of 4. And it's something that we have traded now for a year and a half in the channel. I don't want you to be afraid of asking questions, but I do believe that the onus is on you to actually also do some work. Otherwise, you're just being spoon-fed, and that rarely leads to you actually learning the lessons. I want to show you something, and I want to show it on YouTube. Okay? Do you see this? This is my resource channel. Look at all the resources here. See all of that? Trader Tom website, the story behind my book, The School Run Strategy, The Ideal Mindset, handout for the video and post 4, first edition of Best Loser Wins, what I knew 20 years ago, data intraday charts, rule of 4, news trading rule of 4 version 1, scalping, beaten alcohol addiction, the book Phantom of the Pit, the abridged version of Phantom of the Pit, Best Loser Win article 1 and 2, an article of stop losses, article on price action, article on advanced price action, article on from first class to park bench, a book trading manual, psychology, psych and performance, a broker comparison guide, a guide to CFDs, Brooks trading course, my YouTube channel, verbal diarrhea 1 and 2, plenty of files on them, advanced school run, example of advanced school run, review of 2 bad days, And the list just go on and on and on. There's an enormous amount of material here. And I feel that the vast majority of you never consult these, and it's easier for you just to ask me. And that's upsetting me, because it takes time away from me to produce more things like this. Because this is what I enjoy. I enjoy trading and I enjoy researching. So let's look at the school run. So the school run will trigger a short position at 41,033. Do we want to take it? Well, we are inside the trading range, but I don't know if we recall this, but the last time we ignored a school run on a non-farm payroll day, we missed one hell of a trade. We really did. So the last non-farm payroll, last non-farm payroll was on the 4th of April. So let's go to the 4th of April. The 4th of April is here. There's school. Do you see that? There's school run there, right there. Short at 39,500. The market goes all the way down to 39,000. It's a 500-point move in the school run. Why do I know this and why do I remember this? Well, because I ordered my trades, ladies and gentlemen, and I remember the pain of having missed a 500-point move in the Dow. I'm thinking, why the fuck didn't I take that? Let's look at the 7th of March. 7th of March is here. See this one here? That's the school run trigger bar right here. At 42,584, it triggers short, and at its low goes 42,200. That's a 300-point move. No, make that 400-point move. From 572 to about 210. Then let's look at the next one, which is on the 7th of Feb. So the 7th of Feb, ooh, tricky, do you see that? That's where it would have been good to have a little bit of an offset. And then an enormous break. So even if you did have the bad fortune of going long, you would have been stopped out here. You would have lost 60 points. No, 80 points. And if you had the courage to flip the switch at 882, the market then went 699, so 700. So 180 points. 180 points, or even better, a little bit later on, an additional 200 points. Now let's look at the NASDAQ position. It's doing really well. I'm currently up 85 points. What's my target? Well, the target should technically be 20,050, which is where we are right now. But as I explained earlier, when you look at the 30-minute chart, we're kind of just where we were yesterday. And so I wonder if there couldn't be some significant more upside in the NASDAQ. It is basically just bobbing around in a trading range on the 30-minute chart. What better day for a breakout than post non-farm payroll? If you're in doubt about that, then now is a good time to take profit up here at the highs. So I would expect, was to see new highs in the NASDAQ on the day. So how is that for an entry, ladies and gentlemen? How is that for an absolute beauty of an entry in the NASDAQ? Clear, simple instructions. Do you remember that Australian gentleman called Steve Irwin, and whenever he saw a really beautiful crocodile, which in itself is an, what do you call that, an oxymoron, isn't it? Because there's absolutely nothing beautiful about a crocodile. They are one of the most scary, ferocious creatures that has ever walked Earth on in modern times. But anyway, he would say something like, "Crikey, that's a beauty." I wonder if I could find that. Okay, so this is Steve Irwin. I don't know what he's chasing, but I think it's a crocodile. I just want to hear him say, "Crikey." Just bear with me. Here it comes. All right, I can't actually get him to say "crikey," but anyway, all respect to Steve Irwin. He did have something so passionate about animal welfare. Crikey! Sorry about the entertainment. I once saw him kiss the most dangerous snake in the world. Yeah, anyway. How did we get talk about him? Hardly comparable to a NASDAQ trade, but crikey, that was just a really solid entry. And I think stop loss should be at break even, and I'm sure that I personally feel that if there is to be a breakout, today would be the day. Let's look at the Dow. That was a deep retracement in the Dow. I didn't see anything to suggest it would stop there. School alarm hasn't been triggered in the Dow, and it is about to trigger. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong time frame. It's already triggered. There we go. Triggered at 22. We're currently at 50, but I'm already long, so happy days, I think. So, a good week. It's been a very good trading week for me. Sorry about that. I started the week with 31,600 in the account, and then I had a really bad Monday. And when I finished the day, that morning, I was down to 31,000. So I've taken it, turned it around from 31,000 at the low on, oh my God, I'm listening to myself on Monday. I'm like, oh, fucking hell. And then turned it around and now at 32,500. No breakout the first time around in the NASDAQ. I think I'm, excuse me, I'm likely to let this run and see where it will go, and then stop streaming. I have quite a lot of work I want to do, working on doing research, basically. Well done, Flavian. That's solid trading. Come on, NASDAQ. Crikey! So on that Monday when I started trading this week, I was mega aggressive, really aggressive, and I just went for it. And it blew up in my face, and I lost 600 or so pounds. But since then, made it all back, plus another £1,000 on this 10K account. You should see the bloody nightmare on my bigger account on Monday. That was not pretty. Ouch. This crude oil position I got, I'm beginning to regret engaging with that. I just had this idea. I was basically looking at the the daily chart, I'm thinking, I think I want to be long crude oil. But because I thought it would have the same reaction as stock indices. But that just goes to show that correlations can be a dangerous thing to bet on. So I'm probably going to have to suck it up and take my loss. And there's no stop loss on either. Okay, so I feel relatively happy to leave you with, well, I don't know whether you took these or not, but I certainly gave you the setup on the rule of 4 during non-farm payroll. That worked out very well. And here's another really good trade in the NASDAQ. Didn't get anything in the Dow. Could come, but I think I'm zooming out now, or tuning out. And I'll leave you in your own safe, capable hands, I hope. There you go. Dow is triggering school run long now. So overall, a good week for me, and I'm leaving you with a 125 point open profit in the NASDAQ, with hopefully some more upside coming here. Won't be adding to it here. Stop losses at break even. Happy just to leave it at that. The account is currently at 32,500 with some open profit still, which means that I'm up about £1,000 on the week, which isn't a whole lot, but it is what it is. So thank you so much. Have a lovely weekend, everybody. I'm so glad that you enjoyed yesterday's absolutely outstanding podcast from Al Brooks. I heard that the gentleman called Brad, who I had really looked forward to seeing or listening to, we had so many people in that he himself didn't have access to it, which was a real shame. I think also there was a go-to meeting issue in that it counted people coming in, but it didn't subtract them when they then left again. So Brad, if you are listening to this, and you're probably not, but you were really missed, and I had looked forward to it. Next time. Love you lots, all of you. And thank you for being here. I hope that my education is of value to you. If not, you know where to go. You take care of yourself and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.